Alright guys, it's is it Saturday? I think it is Saturday. Lost track of the days because my whole working week got disrupted by other problems at work, so planned my week out, then it got overlapped by other people's stuff going on. But I just want to talk about discipline today. It overlaps into a couple of things, because I want to start doing more stuff on fatherhood. I say fatherhood, not parenting or other stuff, where you'll get females sort of saying how they're the two fathers. No, a father's a father, a mother's a mother. It's very difficult to do both, and there's enough information out there to say that for the ideal child, like, I think this is a female driver on the wrong side of the road. Yes, what a surprise. It's ingrained, as a human being, we have different traits. My wife is more creative. My wife's got more mothering skills, where I'm more like, if somebody hit my kid, I'd go and see their father and punch their father. It's there's different traits. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to get comments on that one. But the whole point being is, the discipline is important if you want to move forward in life. Now, I've got to admit, I was watching something. I keep getting stuff since these shorts have hit YouTube. It's driving me nuts because they're so baiting. And I was listening to one that was on about the top 5%, the top 1% and stuff from the UK on financial income. I'm not going to say how much I earn, but I sit in the top 5%. But that's not the main question here. It's because I think too many people try to get in the 1%. I always say baby steps and all that sort of stuff. That's the reality. A lot of it is not a straight jump, and if you do a straight jump, it's like when people win the lottery, they lose it. You've got more chance of losing everything than coming out on top. That's not my thoughts. It's just facts. Don't let the facts get in the way of the truth. But the point being is, like my situation, my work and whatever, I make a lot of sacrifices to make that work. I put in a lot of hours. That's why my eyes always look like I'm tired, because bizarrely I am tired a lot, because I do work excessively, and I have done for years. Because you're trying to do the best you can, go above and beyond, keep your head where it's noticed. Keep it where it's noticed and try to avoid people cutting it off. But you're constantly striving to do it better, faster, and improve results. Most of my work is based on bringing costs down and profits up. It is simple as that. So it's not an easy life, and that's why it's not 40% of the population or 50% of the population. It's a lot of sacrifice to sit in those sections of life, where you're like me. I'm away from home a lot. My commitments are changing because, when I got on this, it was like to drop back into corporate life and start heading back to a home life. Now, working on it, it's not a 5-minute fix. I 100% knew that when I got into this, but the point being is, I just want to raise the fact that it isn't easy. So don't always assume jumping into someone else's life is going to make your life easier, or you're going to have everything you want, because one thing I lose is time. That's why my time is so precious all the time, because I use it wisely. But a lot of it comes down to discipline. I'm not a morning person yet. I'm up at, I think, about 6 a.m. every day, even if the alarm's not going off. My body clock is getting me up at 6 a.m. It's like today, it was quite funny because I messaged my son, I think it was for 8 a.m. By 8 a.m. I had done 2 laundry washes. I had partially read a book, did a video for him, and I joined the gym, and by about 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'd been at the gym. So the point being is, you make a lot of pushing, you know, like you don't feel like getting up at work, you get up for work. You know, very rarely would I be off sick unless there was a reason for it. You know, not just that I'm sick, but it may be a strategic move to actually find another job or something else. It's not just a case of, oh, he's off sick. You know, that just doesn't happen. I'll work from home. When I had my back, where I had 3 infused discs, I was still working from home. I was struggling to walk. I was in physio every day. I was in bad shape, but I still worked. I didn't go off sick and go, see ya. I still worked. Same as when I had a collapsed lift, which basically a bolt went through my left ankle. I worked for 6 weeks to get the jobs complete that I was working on, or they could be handed over, before I even went sick. And the reason I went sick is my foot was starting to go black, which I think is a sign of gangrene. So I think the warning signs were there, and it's like, you need to go to the doctor. But the point being is, that's above and beyond for a lot of the people, and that's why there is a lot of degree of separations. It's like now, like I said, this is a breakout year. So like today, because I'm thinking my energy levels seem low. I think I got long COVID at some point because my breathing never went back properly. But to be fair, rejoining the gym this morning, because I'm like, okay, I want to do something. I want to do a bit of fitness. I want to do something else. I was like trying to find something to do, but it's like, you know what? You're struggling to find something that fits this gap. So you're going to have to join the gym, and you're going to have to go in at 5:30 in the morning, simply because that's when you can actually get into the gym. Because any other time I can't get on the weights. I can do cardio, but I find, you know, cardio a bit boring. So the whole point is I need to mix it up a bit, so get up early. So I am, and that was one of the things I want to stress. This is the sort of commitments you need to make. And that is not only because, oh, it'll make you healthier or whatever. It's actually to give some of my energy back, because my energy levels have been dropping off, because my fitness isn't as good as it should be. Hence getting back to the discipline. The discipline is, I know what I need, and instead of whinging about it and complaining or an excuse not to do it, it's like, do it. Joined, already done my first session today, already geared up for 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And the same, did I say Saturday? I think it's Saturday. I'm not sure. If it's Sunday, I don't think it's Sunday. I'm sure it's Saturday. If it's Saturday, I'll be in there Sunday at 6, Monday at 6, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The only thing that's going to disrupt it is when I go to Spain. But even then, when I go to Spain, I do a lot of walking. So that's a little bit of an offset. But the point being is, you've got to be disciplined to get into your routines. Because like I said, it's not just the fact of, oh, I don't feel like going to the gym. You know, you don't feel motivated sometimes. You've got to get back up. You've got to drive that forward. And this gets back onto the fatherhood stuff. Is you need to encourage your kids to be doing the same. You have to set the example. And, you know, it's like when people want about learn to make your bed every morning. It's the routine stuff. Because like when I get up, make the bed, I have 2 coffees in the morning. I watch Dennis Davzov, I think his name is, who gives me the updates on what's going on in the Ukraine war. Then I move into a bit of exercise before I start work. And then, because I've got I've got like bands. I've got one of those like rolling handles, which is, I'm trying to get it work in my stomach, but this is one of the things I've done today as well. I moved my diet back to pretty much purely protein. We're basically eating just chicken and a bit of tuna with tuna and sweet corn. Because last time I did it, I lost a lot of weight and I retained it. Where it went, I can't say it went wrong because it didn't. I got married and then I got a wife that's a good cook and loves cooking. So the point being is, you've got to get your kids in this mindset, and this gets on to something else which fits into the discipline, because as a parent, see, I said parent, if you're an absentee in the sense of, like me, I'm not, although I'm with the kids on text and messaging and on the phone and video, and I get home when I can, I'm not there as much as I would like, and I think the garbage out of media is there much more evidently in many ways, unfortunately. So they get all this peculiar mixed up society stuff going on, which isn't healthy for kids. It's really not. And I'm getting a bit tired of the agenda stuff, to be fair. Do you see? I didn't say gender, I said agenda, because it is. It's a political agenda. They're making it one. So what I've started doing is started make time to make videos for mainly my son, because he's at that age where he's moving from boy to being a man. So he does his fitness stuff. He's got a whiteboard with all the stuff that he's doing. And like today, we're talking about friendships. I did a video early this morning about friendships and how the difference between acquaintances and friends, and you know, your good friends, the majority of them he wouldn't have met yet because he's too young. It's when you have your crazy friend you meet at college, or you meet people randomly. I mean, Van Gogh, for example, for me, I was managing the ripping out of a big department store. I had 26 people turn up. They're all working for us, and I'm like, I noticed he was my age, a bit more my age. He's actually older than me, which is a positive. And everyone else was like 17 plus type, like probably like 17 to 26 or something. And I just said to Van Gogh, I said, you can go with them or you can come with me. He came with me, and that was 23 years ago. We've been friends ever since. These random things happen, and you meet people from different things. It's like I said to my son, because he's doing stuff on piano now. He's doing stuff, he's got his karate. And when I go back home, I'm going to do a bit on the basketball, because I'm into basketball. I was when I was younger, but lots of injuries later. It slowed me down, and then work interfered with me actually enjoying a lot of stuff that other people get to enjoy. But the whole point being is I can see there's a lot of stuff out there, because boys especially are lacking role models, and I do think a lot of the female stuff out there, they've got the wrong role models. I'm not even going to talk about Philip Schofield. That's a different story. But the point being is, it is worth making these little videos and sending them to your kids, especially your divorce, separate, whatever. Send them to your kids. Just go, hi, and get some topics, even if you have to flick through TikTok and hear some of the stuff. Because one of the things you've got to understand is this is what's in front of your kids. So they're hearing all this weird stuff that's going on about somebody wanting to be a they, there, whatever. And then this confusion is getting thrown in the mix. The problem, see, I get it that people that have these ideologies, I call them ideologies, and then call them what they like. I call them ideologies. Is their confusion is they're projecting onto everybody else. That's where this problem is, because the reality is, myself and probably the majority of people, they're IDC. which is like, I literally do not care. If you want to be a woman, a tree, whatever, okay. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me I have to change my legislation. You don't have to threaten me with court action because I won't accept your beliefs or whatever. I'm literally saying, do what you want, just don't tell me about it. So for me, the important bits with, you know, our kids is they understand that a lot of this stuff is not correct. There's a political, God knows what's going on. The whole thing's mental. But the point being is your kids do not need to be sucked into it as well. So like I say, you're doing videos. Last time I was doing one this morning on friends, and now do another one on discipline. I do his whiteboard where I put these different actions for him to do, like, you know, make your bed, read a book once a week. It's basically to put structure in my son's life. And some people might say, "Oh, that's a bit regime. Your kids should know what they, you know, be able to choose what they're doing." And it's like, yeah, a lot of people don't know what they're doing till probably late 20s, 30s, and sometimes never. So getting people some structure to get them through the day to day until they get to that point, I think that's the best move as a father, is making sure my kids have a father that cares, have a father that actually will help where we can. And yeah, so that's a bit of a discipline, doing one of those a week, you know, for your own kids. You're in the same, well, I'm not important point, I'm not divorced, not separated, not got any problems with my wife. My biggest problem is just getting the business started and getting enough cash to be in Spain full time. But I understand, you know, from my previous relationship where it was made very difficult for me to maintain the contact and stuff, and I'm sure I'm the hated father type thing somewhere, but it wasn't intentional. You know, I was trying to do as much as I can to stop that happening, but hey ho, you live and learn. Life is experience. This is one of the other key things. Everything's experience. If you learn something from it, it was worth going through it. But yeah, I'll leave that one there for today. I mean, it's not as much of an update as other stuff, but the business stuff is moving, but it won't happen overnight. It's still a ongoing piece. And like today, this is the discipline again. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. I've done the gym, done the laundry, had my protein, which is basically just a chicken, which is my only meal for today. Just going to go shopping now for some household essentials. Then I'm going to spend 2 to 3 hours on a training course today. And then I'm going to relax for a couple of hours. And then get up in the morning after I've slept and whatever today and do it all again. Because that's half the battle, is keeping the wheel turning. If you want to move and evolve and move into something bigger, you've got to keep it turning. Keep it turning. Create time, and like I'm doing, like I say, with the gym and stuff, is to get my energy levels back up. I think I got wiped out with what do you call it, long COVID, because it definitely took a bite of me. I've not been 100% since the whole COVID nonsense. So yeah, you know, when you get to that point where you're not sure what the hell's going on because nobody seems to want to talk about the issues that people are suffering with. And then you're like, well, where do I go from here? Into a coffin? You know, you're like, okay, well, I can either accept that there seems to be very little official discussions around it, or you go, just push ahead. I mean, one of the good things about rejoining the gym today, which was actually encouraging, before I quit, my stamina was starting to go up, because I was starting to get my breathing back, which doesn't sound a big thing, but I find when I was starting to run, after about 3-4 minutes, it felt like my throat was being squeezed, and then I'd have to slow down because I could lose my breath. Today, my fitness was actually where it was before I stopped going to the gym, when I decided it wasn't working. But like I says, I've noticed my my energy levels have been dropping down, so I've got to do something anyway. But hey ho, we keep on pushing. That's the key to all this. Keep on pushing. You know, don't let anything drag you down, because the whole point is very easy to give up, because that's what the majority of people want to do. And like I said, have a look where you're sitting salary wise and financially wise. If it's money that's driving you, have a look where you sit, because you may find that you're not as bad off as you think you are. Like I said, I didn't even realize I was in the top 5% until it was picked up on the video, and I'm like, yeah, I can do a lot more than most people, but I don't see it because I've been earning this for a long time. Probably the 90s. Yeah, I think back in the 90s. But anyway, I'm gonna